Hello everyone, it's Saturday night and it is the first round of the ACCSS Bronze and Gold split here at Suzuka. Our drivers are just getting underway on qualifying, but before we get started, my name is Roy Waller and I do have to make a apology for tonight's race as I've got a bit of a sore throat tonight, so if my commentary is a little less enthusiastic than it would usually be, you can certainly blame that. And without further ado, let's jump in and see how our drivers are getting on as our bronze split currently out qualifying. We currently have Christopher Elberg in the Porsche for this season, sitting on pole position. However, I don't think anyone has actually set a valid lap time yet, so these positions are all ready to change as Christopher crosses the line for a first time of a 2:02, and that is going to be the time to beat for the rest of the bronze drivers. So who have we got coming around now? So we've got Richard Mazin, who's just put in a 2:024, and Pietro Maffei with the 2:03.4. So currently Elberg with quite the gap on the rest of the field. The drivers in pro split last season, but decided to put themselves back into the potluck of split placements to see where they like, and for this season find themselves in the bronze split. Still a couple of drivers left to finish their first flying lap. First of these will be Michael Small in the Lexus. Brings us round Spoon, coming down to 130R. The fastest corner on the Suzuka circuit. Still not flat in these cars, so drivers do have to choose how brave they're going to be. Michael not using all of the curb available to him, but he's carrying a decent amount of speed through. The final chicane. Onto the final corner. It's going to cross the line. Looks like it might be a quick lap here. And it's going to be a 2:02.6 for Michael. That's a solid first attempt. Next up to set their first flying lap will be a Michael Bell. Again in the Porsche. Michael crosses the line. Oh, but unfortunately it has invalidated this lap, so we'll need to go again. Still, good amount of time remaining of this session for Michael, so doesn't need to worry too much now. But will be valuable to get that banker on the board so he can start pushing and improving those times. So cross the line, Eckhart von Glan. And that is a 2:06.3, currently bottom of the drivers who have posted their first flying lap, but definitely got some scope to improve there as Andrea Badatto crosses the line, and that is a P6 for now with a 2:02.7. Let's see what can Joe Wright do in the Bentley. Just coming around Spoon Curve now. Keeps it within the lines. Important that he gets a valid lap on the board at this stage of the session. Just 7 minutes remaining now for these bronze split drivers to go out and put their lap. This qualifying session will be split in half at the 15-minute mark. Our gold split drivers will be unleashed onto the track. The bronze split drivers will have to return to the pit lane. So now let's see what is Joe Wright got. It is going to be a 2:03.2 for Joe. Solid lap time, puts in P7 for now. Let's see, can Bell put together these final couple of corners, keep it within the lines, get a time on the board. Quite a spread of times here in the bronze split, so really important to get that valid lap in, because it could see you the difference between starting at the back or just starting somewhere in the midfield. And Bell with a 2:02, or basically a 2:03, but a solid lap, and that's P7 for now as Bell returns to the pit lane. So we have just 2 drivers now in the bronze split remaining to set their first lap time. So we'll keep an eye on Stanislav Hudani. Oh, sorry, Hunadi, who's just got the chicane and the final corner to go. Currently on for a valid lap. Ooh, and the tail's getting out just a little bit around that final curve. So easily done with the downhill acceleration zone. Very easy to kick the car around. But P9 for Hunadi with a 2:03.2. And so just 1 driver remains in our bronze split to set a valid time. So we'll keep an eye on Jonas Van Ree for now. And then we'll go and have a look and see if we can find anyone who's trying to move themselves up the order. So important now for Jonas just to keep it between the lines, keep it going, get that all important first time on the board, then you can start pushing. Oh, as Jonas pulls over to the side, not quite sure what happened there. But that's gonna not be good, as he's only gonna have potentially time for 1 more flying lap before the session ends. So Jonas really needs to get a wiggle on here. Let's see what Eckhart von Glan has got for us. On for a good improvement here. Needs to find some time, as it's currently sitting on a 2:06.1, currently over a second off the next driver on the timing tower. Has closed up that gap with a 2:05 flat, so now just 1 and a bit tenths off of P20. A good improvement, and found well over a second there, did Von Glen. Now, what can Stanislav do? Looking for a good improvement here. Crosses the line. It's P2 for Stanislav. A 2:02. Actually, it's a 2:01.9. If you want to be technical. And we have got 4 drivers currently in the bronze split. In the 2:01s, so certainly got some pace here, and be interesting to see how, once our gold drivers get out on the track, what the balance of pace here is across our 2 splits. There's Gustav Garstug in the one of the many Porsches we have out on track here tonight. Gustav still on for a decent improvement here, so we'll keep with Gustav for the final couple of corners. Gustav returns to the pits, so will not be improving on his time. Our current pole splitter, Christopher Elbow, currently 7.5 tenths ahead of the next fastest driver in the bronze split. It's going to be interesting to see how many of the gold split drivers can actually challenge that time, as a low 201 is a very solid time around the Suzuka circuit. Thomas Calvo comes across the line. This is going to be a good improvement for the Mercedes driver. And just within 2 tenths of Elbow's time. As he pulls over, could have had another chance at another flying lap, but decides to end his qualifying there. So still 30 seconds left to run for the bronze splits, and as Augustus crosses the line for a 2:01.6, that puts him a P3 for now. And next across the line will be Eric Strom. The clock ticks over now. This will be the final lap for Eric, and that puts him into P18, or P17, I apologise, with a 2:04.2. Strong final attempt. And with not many drivers looking to improve here on their final lap, as Anton Maninka crosses the line to get a couple of positions. So it's P15 for Maninka with a 2:03.7, and that's going to be it for our bronze split drivers. As the gold split head out onto track. Trying to pick up one of our leaders. Or let's just say one of the first drivers to be setting a lap time will likely be Dan Terry in the ACCSimSeries Aston Martin. So if we take a look at the qualifying times for our gold split, we have got 5 drivers in the 2:01s, and then we've got 2:02s, 2:03s, 2:04s and a 2:05. So definitely a spread of pace in the bronze split, and we'll have to wait and see where do our gold split drivers slot in to these timings. So as Dan Terry rounds the final corner to start his first flying lap, let's go on board and allow Dan Terry to give us a tour of this Suzuka circuit. First braking zone, scrubbing off speed but not too much as we enter into the S's, the infamous first sector of this Suzuka circuit. Really just about maintaining that minimum speed through all of these corners, not losing too much pace, which is so easy to do. Sometimes you can be worrying too much about getting to your apex and just scrub up a bit too much speed. It's sometimes better just to carry that speed through. We come down to the Degners. Surprisingly hard braking zone and a lot of curb there cut for Dan Terry. He's coming to the second of the Degners again, taking a lot of the curb on the inside and on the outside. Got to the hairpin, heavy braking zone, tight to the apex. Back on the throttle now, nice and smooth there for DT. Head boom curve. Can be a treacherous corner in mid and rear engine cars. Front engine cars like the Aston, a bit more stable through there. Dan picks up a decent exit. The long run down the back straight towards 130R. Looking for his braking marker. Slight tap of the brakes to bleed off a bit of speed. And into the heavy braking zone for the final chicane, taking a lot of the apex curb on both parts of the chicane. And full throttle. Careful not to let the car drift out too wide on the final corner. It's across the line for Dan Terry. And must have been validated somewhere around there. I missed in the excitement. So it is a 2:01.5 for DT, but an invalidation somewhere around there, and does not set a lap time. So around Dan Terry must go again. But already, Dieter Santon in the license to spin Porsche with a 2:01.1 takes pole position off of Christopher Elberg, and that is a very, very solid lap time. And we're starting to see a number of the Gold Split drivers already putting themselves at the top of the timing tower. We take a look at Paul Glover in the Race Department podcast Audi. Paul looking like he's going slow at the moment, so this might just be an out lap or a build lap. So let's go and see who else has yet to set a lap time. Well, one of those drivers we know is Dan Terry, who invalidated on his last one. It's currently slower than his previous lap, but at least this time has kept it within the white lines. So just the final corner to go here for DT. Crosses the line, and I always forget the start finish line is a lot further down the start finish straight here at Suzuka, and that is a 2:02.5, currently P19, and Dan Terry's going to want to find a bit more pace than that. We know he's got it in him, just needs to keep it within the lines. There's Torben Paulik. Crosses the line for their first flying lap. Puts himself into P9. Got a lot of Porsches up on the fast end of this field tonight. Certainly a popular car in these bronze and gold splits. As Paul Glover does finish a fast-ish lap, puts himself in P29. Oh, and a bit of a clatter with the wall there for Paul, so he'll be returning to pit lane and coming back out with a fresh car. As we catch up with Matthew Morgan, rounding the final corner, coming down to cross the line. This should be a good improvement for Matthew. And gets himself into the 2-minute zeros, along with actually 6 other drivers on this grid currently in the 2-minute laps. That's a P3 for Matthew. He'll be happy with that lap, having been promoted from Silver Split last season. Dan Terry is going to cross the line, and it's going to be a good improvement for DT, and he's going to need it. Currently sitting down in P22, and that's P9 so far for DT with a 2:01.3. It's Still behind the bronze split driver of Christopher Elberg, so he's going to want to find a little bit more pace if he wants to get all of the bronze split behind him. But we're getting to find a bit more pace at the top of the field now. With Kay Lumber in the Zoomies Lamborghini. Took me a while to recognise what car that was. Just the final corner to go. A small improvement up into P7 for Lumber. Oh, as we've got a Porsche driving off track and getting right out of the way. I believe that is Tom Mack, giving Tim Miro plenty of room. Tim comes around the hairpin, finding a lot of time on this lap. Still no one getting especially close to Dieter Santon. Santon with a 2.7 tenths gap to the next fastest driver. Just the chicane to go. Miro not taking as much of the first inside curb as we've seen other drivers take, but it seems to be doing him well, as this should be a good improvement for the BMW driver. Currently sitting in P21, crosses the line to P14. That's a very good improvement. Another driver who's on for a good improvement in the Aston Martin is Gear Excellent. He rounds the final corner to cross the start finish line. Up into P15 with a 2015. There's just 3 minutes remaining of this qualifying session. Should see those drivers who have gone out for the single running qualifying burning down their fuel. So we should start to see the quicker laps appearing. Esposito finding some time in the first sector. So finding some time in the second sector as well. This could be a good improvement for Esposito. Around the final corner now. Lost a little bit of time in the final sector, but it should be a good improvement here for Esposito. Up into P21 with a 2019. It's a solid lap. And, well, a driver who's definitely looking to stamp their authority all over this gold split race is Dieter Santon. And, well, no spoilers, but if my timing tower is telling me what I think it's telling me, this is going to be a very, very strong lap from Dieter. Just the chicane to go. Oh, it's going to be strong, but I don't think it's going to be strong enough to get him into the 159s. And it is a 2:0.2 for Dieter Santon. 5.5 tenths of clear of the next fastest driver. That is what can only be described as a disgusting lap from Dieter. And yeah, I think some of the drivers in this gold split are going to be complaining that he should be going up to the pro split. There's Tom Tweedy in the lime green liveried Porsche. Lost a little bit of time through the chicane, so unlikely to improve on this lap. We'll keep with him for now. As we approach time on this qualifying session. So this is going to be the final lap for all of these drivers currently out on track. And doesn't look like anyone is improving massively on these final laps. As Tom Tweedy pulls over to the side of the road, and I think, ladies and gentlemen, this will be our grid for tonight's race. Unless, of course, Niels Cool can improve, as I believe everyone else is returning to the pit lane. We'll keep with Niels for now. Niels, although 6.8 tenths off of pole position, only needs to find 14 hundredths of a second to take P2 here. So he's not going to want to be held up too much by that car ahead, although the pull down the straight could be nice here for Niels. Keeps it within the track limits as well. A nice tow from the McLaren. Perhaps doesn't want to lose the downforce through 130R, but in these GT cars it doesn't hinder them too much. Through the chicane we go. And around the final corner. This is going to be a good improvement here for Niels. Is it going to be enough to take P2? So he slips in behind the McLaren. Not quite enough for P2, just 13 thousandths of a second off of P2. That is P3 for Niels Cool, and we will be back very shortly for tonight's race.
Smell of rain into my bed and lie so close to me. You could be inside my head. Maybe it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing to feel the kind of magic that your love brings.
Welcome back, everyone, as our drivers form up the grid for tonight's race. There's a couple of corners left of this formation lap and we will be underway here at Suzuka. Santon leads the way, followed by Joe Cocking, Niels Cool and Matthew Morgan. Reasonably long run to the start finish line, a short flat out section to the first corner. Drivers will be keeping an eye on the lights, waiting for that green flag. And we are racing here at Suzuka. And Dieter Santon's got a good run, it looks like. And it's Joe Cocking who's under pressure from Niels Cool on the inside. As they round the second corner. Looks like Niels Cool has taken P2. And so far, so clean. Looks like we just had the single yellow flag out there. And Dieter Santon already with the 1 second gap on the rest of the field. Be very happy with the start of that race. Oh, as we have yellow flags out for Michael Bell. And what has happened here? Paul Glover goes to the outside. Changed to the inside on the first of the Degners. So far, so clean. The McLaren goes up to tries to take advantage of the inside. Oh, and there's contact, and that is a big shame for Michael Bell, who now finds himself down in P41 in this race. As we enter the second lap of this race, Dieter Santon leads the way. Niels Cool closed up the gap a little bit, is not letting Dieter just run away with this race. As we have got fighting up and down the field here tonight. Liam Galvin in the Rubber Dinghy Rapids McLaren is right on the back of Gear Axel. So side by side into the hairpin. Liam Calvin getting onto the blinkers, but I don't think that's going to phase Axel much. We take a look at the winners and losers so far in this race. A driver who we consider a real winner is Edmund Choru. Started this race down in P43, currently running in 29, but is finding himself under heaps of pressure. The rest of this train behind him desperately wants to get past, but Edmund holding his own well here. As we have the yellow flags out on track for Guardstick. And the front of that Porsche does not look good, and I think we can all guess what has happened here. Bet you the Porsche puts its wheel on the grass on the inside, or at least a curb on the inside of 130R. There he goes. The Porsche doesn't like that, and it's straight into the tyre wall, and that is an unhappy Porsche. Well, and it looks like there's a reasonable amount of suspension damage on that car as well, as that front right tyre did not look like it was pointing in the right direction. And that is going to be a long old stop in the pits for Guardstick. I guess he'd just be grateful that the pit window is now open, so we can change his tyres, fuel up and go to the end. Paul Glover is on the offensive, up on the inside of Spoon, and it's a solid move from Paul. Gets himself clear of Minardi. As Matthew Morgan makes his way past Joseph Cocking. Let's see that again. Oh, it's just a better run out of the final corner. And manages to hold the position into the first corner. And that's a move made for Matthew Morgan. Check in with Andy Behan. It's on the back of Tarala, and actually is now under pressure from Liam Galvin. It's interesting to see how these drivers ebb and flow throughout the different corners. These cars with different strengths and weaknesses. Got a inter-class battle, or inter-split battle I should say, for P10, as Christopher Elberg is closing onto the back of Dan Terry. Oh, just a little bit of a wiggle there from Elberg. Oh, as we've got a couple of spinners down the back. What has happened here? This is Span and Vedetto. What has happened here? It's a side by side into 130R. It's brave bordering on foolish. Oh, and that is a big old spin for Span. Oh, and we've got another car off there. Doesn't look like they're actually involved in the original incident. Span's off the track again. This is not a replay we're seeing now. So whatever that was, Span not having the best of races at the moment. Oh, this Tom Mack has closed right up to the back of Lumber, getting his splitter right under the diffuser of the Lamborghini. Almost saying, if you're not going to exit the corner fast enough for me, I'm going to push you out of it. Let's take a look at the front of the field as Niels Cole is on the making the move on Dieter Santon. This for the lead. Niels Cole nicely through 130R. That is a solid move. Let's see that again. It all started with the better drive out of Spoon. The pull of that Mercedes down the straight towards 130R. Dieter Santon knew that he couldn't defend it. Mercedes was already passed. And that is Niels Cole up into P1 of this race. But Dieter Santon not giving this one up. We know he's quick around this circuit, but the Porsche does sometimes lack for straight line speed. Oh, as we've got Axelin off the circuit. What has happened here? Oof. Wow. It looks like this incident has been going on for quite some while. And has to wait for the whole field to pass. Worth reminding you, these GT cars do have reverse gears, so Axelin may have been better off just getting himself off the circuit and skipping the chicane altogether. He's spending a lot of time there waiting for the traffic to go past. As the fight for P3 continues, Tom Mack just dropping a bit off the back of this fight, but Matthew Morgan leading Joe Clocking and Lumber in the fight for P3. Really Clocking, who's under pressure from Lumber at the moment. Up at the front of the field, Dieter Santon and Niels Cole still fighting over P1 and now catching up to some back markers as the Audi, I'm not sure whether to be generous and say getting out of the way or just completely beefing the hairpin. But our two leaders are through. This race at the moment not going to be interrupted by back markers. You see just behind it, Lumber is now right up behind the BMW of Cocking. Not quite close enough to make a move. Has a quick look, but would be a brave and foolish move to try and make an inside move there. And with all this time being spent watching the gold split, let's go give our bronze split drivers some love as Unadi, Wright, Small, Badetto and Churyu are close together on track. This a fight over P4 in the bronze split. So this close little group is important for their race. Currently down in P21 overall. As the first of our penalties are being applied. And let's see, so we did have a oh, we're waiting for some events to unfold. Let's take a look at our oh, apologies. Not sure what's up. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can see what happened at the start of this race. Ever so slightly confused. What are these? Let's go for a quick have a break while I fix this issue. Oh, apologies for that, everyone. A little bit of a tooling problem there. And we are back. And so I was going to try and find a replay of the start of this race to see if we did get a penalty from the start. I'm going to guess so, as it's we do have a penalty for 8 seconds into this race, which I can only imagine was the first corner. So the answer to our question of will we have a clean turn 1 is a resounding no. So congratulations to those of you who voted no. But currently we have got a race over P9 between, oh sorry, P8 between Fabini, Dan Terry, Tim Miro and Christopher Elberg. Just in front of this battle actually, we have got Tom Mack now getting very close to Lumber. Although in a race down a straight, Tom Mack's going to be wishing he was in any other car than the Porsche. As we have got yellow flags out for Eckert, or currently off on the outside spoon. So what has happened here? We've got Eckert and is that the Porsche of Tom Tweedy? I don't believe so actually. Oh, and that is just an Audi losing it all by itself. And that was what I was saying about sometimes spoon can be a little sketchy in a mid-engine car. And the Audi just letting go there. Managed to find himself a slot to get back going, and that is unfortunate. Grant Eckhart. As well, we're now into the just 20 minutes into this race, so not too bad a time for Eckhart to dive into pit road. Just have 40 minutes on those tyres. Tom Mack able to get very, very close to the back of Lumber, but as of yet not able to do anything with it. Ooh, as Lumber dips a couple of wheels out on the dirt, doesn't seem to affect him too much on the turn-in for 130R, but does go defensive to the inside. Could hurt him out of the chicane, but nope, looks like he was able to get on the drive nice and early, and for now we maintain the status quo. As it looks like Bunyan has just got past Christopher Elberg. So let's see, where did this happen? As Elberg defends to the inside of 130R. And then just has to back out of it. Oh, although Bunyan does run quite wide off the track there. Potentially could be seen as gaining an advantage from going off track. Battle for P8 continues. Dan Terry still chasing down Romain Fabini. Oh, just not enough space there to get on the throttle for Dan Terry. Has to back out of it a bit, and that will give Fabini a little bit of breathing room. But not much as Dan Terry looks to the inside, not the space there. Needs to be careful not to open the door to Tim Miro. They come out spoon, who is going to have the drive as Fabini goes straight to the inside. defending to the inside of the final chicane. Still no way through for Dan Terry as Tim Miro is closed right up to the back of Dan Terry. And Tim Miro now diving into the pit lane, wanting to get out of this traffic, giving himself some clean air to put in some fast laps of his own and see if he can undercut Dan Terry and Romain Fabini. Oh, as we've got yellow flags out for Hunadi, what's happened here? Is this going to be another slide and spin at 130R? I suspect it may be. Yep, the rear just kicks out. Oof, and a big impact with the wall there. Looks like bodywork damage to that McLaren and hopefully nothing more. But that was a big old impact with the tyre wall. Oh, and while we were watching that, it does seem that Matthew Morgan has made it past Dieter Santon. So what has happened here? Oh, Dieter Santon off the track. So not quite sure what happened there, but Dieter Santon wide off the track, and that has allowed Matthew Morgan through into P2. And Niels Kuhl now a good 7 seconds up the road. So not seeing details of any contact for car number 9. So it looks like Dieter Santon just lost it on his own. Well, judging by his teammate, he does have a license to spin, and he is making use of that license and diving into the pit lane now. There's Augustus Sablinskas. Currently leading in the bronze split. Yet to make his mandatory pit stop for this race. I believe currently Christopher Elberg would be the net leader of the bronze split, having already served his one mandatory pit stop. Dan Terry continues to chase down Romain Fabini to no avail as of yet. Fabini defending the inside of the hairpin hard, no way past for Dan Terry there. Oh, Dan Terry runs a bit deep into the start of the chicane. And that has meant he's dropped back a little bit from Fabini. As Matthew Morgan dives into the pit lane, as does Mark Bunyan. Esposito has made his way past Sablinskas, so let's see how... Oh! Well, I say made his way past, but it does look like there is a car off the track. And yeah, in the end, the off-road excursion there for Sablinskas doesn't mean he could not defend his position into 130R. So Esposito through into P10 in this race. number of our drivers having made their mandatory pit stop, the field is slightly shuffled up here. Dieter Santon, our pole sitter for tonight's race, currently sitting in P18 and with clean air in front of him. Needs to push on to try and close up that gap to our current race leader, and must imagine net race leader at the moment, Niels Kool, who also has a clear track in front of him, and we must imagine will be thinking about heading into pit road soon as we pass the halfway mark in this race. As Niels dives into pit road at pretty much exactly the halfway point of tonight's race. Dan Terry still unable to get past Fabini. Looks like he's got the pace, but while Fabini positions his car well, there's nothing Dan Terry can do other than follow the McLaren. Dieter Santon now finding himself in a little bit of traffic with some cars yet to pit in front of him. They don't have to give him track position, and this could slow down Santon's charge, as Kool has now cleared his mandatory pit stop and is exiting pit road. See, as he crosses the line out onto the track, and where is Dieter Santon? Well, Dieter Santon nowhere to be seen as Niels Kool gets himself out well ahead of his nearest competitor. And currently nearest competitor is Lumber in the Lamborghini. Oh, actually, sorry, nope, I think the climbing tower does need to readjust itself. His nearest competitor is still Dieter Santon, but well, not as close as he would like to be. It's Dan Terry finally making his way past Romain Fabini. But with this so close to the pits now, Dan Terry stays out. Fabini into pit road. Dan Terry's going to be really hoping that he can put in a solid in lap and get out in front of Fabini, so I don't think he wants to have that all over again. Dieter Santon finding himself up behind Mazan, who is yet to pit in this race. Oh, and Santon on the blinkers, wants to get past, wants to get through and start chasing down Niels Kool. But Mazan having none of it. He's perfectly entitled to keep running his race ahead due to not having taken his pit stop. That doesn't mean he has to get out of the way. And as we come around the final corner, Mazan gets out of the way, dives into pit road, and this frees up Dieter Santon to start chasing down Niels Kool. So with that gap currently sitting at around 6.5 seconds between Niels Kool and Dieter Santon, these next 26 minutes are going to be crucial in this race. As behind Matthew Morgan and Lumber side by side, and Tom Mack also looking for a way through. These three nose to tail as they come around the first sector. And Joe Cocking closing up onto this fight as well. This group has been fighting for most of this race, though not necessarily in this order, and it does seem that Lumber has really won out in these pit stops. Currently seeing himself sitting in P3 in the net race position, and well, pit stop stage of this race has gone very, very well for Lumber. This is a real train forming up behind Lumber. We've got 5 cars hit, all within half a second of the car in front. So our final few, or a few of our final few drivers dive into pit lane, just right and Chori. Oh, it's Lumber! Way off track there. Takes to the escape road. It's going to have to be careful just to let these drivers past. Oh, and let's take a look and see what happened there. Watch this one from the helicam. Ooh! The Lambo's rears just let go a bit there. And Lumber just letting the trying to get back on the track reasonably safely. Did quite well there to keep out of the other's way, but that now finds him down right at the back of that pack. And 1.5 seconds off of Thorben Paulik. And now it's Matthew Morgan leading this pack, followed closely behind by Tom Mack in the Porsche. There's Lumber, who'd gained so much through the pit stops, now finds himself down in P9. Soon to be P7 after Wright and Choru pit. Wright is in pit road. So just Choru left. Tom Mack gets the slightly better run through the chicane. He's got the inside line. Matthew Morgan with the slight mistake, and this has allowed Tom Mack through. But he is in a Porsche, remember everyone, and yeah, the Mercedes just drives straight back past him on the straight, and that has got to be infuriating from Tom Mack. Such a big mistake from Matthew Morgan on the start of that straight, but the straight line speed of the Mercedes means he can just drive straight back past. So it does look like Lumber hasn't missed out too much in terms of time. Is still right on the back of this pack. Just down 4 positions from where he was previously. That one small mistake at 130R. As the gap between Niels Kuhl and Dieter Santon is staying pretty stable at the moment, currently sitting at about 6.5 seconds. So at this point in the race, with 20 minutes remaining, it does look like this is Niels' race to lose. but not too far behind them. The fight for P3 is where the action is on this track. Oh, as Tom Mack just getting a little bit of oversteer there. We'll watch this one from the helicam. Just touches the inside curb and it sends the Porsche into a bit of a tail slide, and that's one position lost there for Tom Mack. The Porsche so sensitive to being unsettled by the curbs. We're seeing it's just small little mistakes which are costing drivers here in this race. Oh, as a little bit of a mistake there from Cocking. Just runs deep onto the... Oh. And that is frustrating there. Tom Mack just really trying to force his way through there. It wasn't especially kind from the Porsche driver. The first contact was a bit of a... bit unfortunate, but the continued barge through from Tom Mack was a bit rude. Check back in with the our current bronze split leader, Christopher Elberg, and well, some of you may notice that Elberg finds himself between Romain Fabini and Dan Terry. So Dan Terry, who we saw getting by Romain Fabini before the pit stops, is now 2 cars behind the McLaren and is going to be super frustrated with the way his race is going. Oh, as things are going from bad to worse with Tom Mack. Is this going to be the same mistake from Tom Mack? Oh, as yeah, just maybe as the fuel is going off of that Porsche, another mistake in the second corner for Tom Mack, and sees him further down the field. Driver who was on for a solid P4 hit, now sitting down in P10. It's all falling a little bit apart for the Porsche driver. There's Michael Esposito now finds himself on the back of Vint. Was not far behind. So that's 10 seconds of penalties being applied for Tom Mack there for that incident with Cocking, and with the pack as close as it is, that's only really going to be more pain for Tom Mack. And worth reminding everyone here who might be new to the ACCSS, any penalty points picked up through the season, so it's 1 behavioural warning point per 5 seconds of penalties. Those will be removed from the drivers' point standings at the end of the season, so penalties not only hurting the drivers on the race that they're receiving, but will hurt them overall in the championship standings. Dan Terry trying to get past the bronze split driver of Christopher Elberg. Elberg having none of it. defending hard. And this means that Dan Terry is falling back into the clutches of Tom Mack behind. And it does look like Elbow might be struggling a little bit, just as the Porsche burns off its fuel. As Dan Terry takes to the outside and getting a little bit impatient there by the looks of things from Dan Terry, and it just takes a little bit too much speed into the corner and runs out wide and loses position to Tom Mack. Of course, not going to matter at the end of this race, as Tom Mack does have that 10-second penalty, but it does mean it's another position loss for Dan Terry. Up to near the front of the field, the fight over, well, now what turns into the fight over P4, as Matthew Morgan has managed to pour a little bit of a gap to Lumber behind. So now Tim Miro and Corbin Paulek chasing down Lumber. As Dan Terry has made his way past Tom Mack. As you see again, that's the straight line speed of the Porsche, just losing out there to the Aston Martin on the drag down to 130 up, and well, Dan Terry will be hoping he can repeat that sort of drag down the straight. As, well, it looks like he's managed to make it 2 Porsches in about two corners. So Elbow, obviously, as the fuel's burning off on that Porsche, just getting a little bit more difficult to drive as the weight balance of the car moves towards the rear. So we've got yellow flags out for Joe Wright. And what has... Okay, well, we're 30 seconds back now, and that is a Bentley backwards on the track. See if I can move the camera around and find out where we are here. I think that's the exit of 130R. Or that... no. It must be the exit of Spoon then, potentially. And yeah, that's parking there for over 30 seconds isn't going to do his race any good. As we have a Porsche on Porsche battle. Tom Mack chasing down Christopher Elberg. And Tarala behind. Oh, running very wide in 130R. Not going to be putting Tom Mack under much pressure now as he runs wide, and that gap is going to be more than a second, I imagine, at the moment. These two continue to fight. It's Richard Mazin who's in a battle with Doucette. These two looking fairly evenly matched, the gap staying quite consistent, and Mazin not able to close up on the Aston. Just behind them, Span, on the approach to 130R, takes to the outside. Side by side into 130R. Who is going to back out of this one? It looks like it is Wright who backs out. Span is through. Up into P31. A solid move. Torben Paulik there taking a lot of inside curb there for the Porsche. Holds on to it. We've seen Porsches let go of taking that much inside curb at 130R, so Torben Paulik, a very lucky man there, who nearly runs wide out onto the grass. And these Porsches tonight, as we get towards the end of the race, looking like a little bit of a handful. Oh, and we have got yellow flags out for Paul Glover in the race to oh, and who is now doing donuts, it seems. So not quite the recovery Paul Glover was looking for. And let's see what has happened here. We go, maybe gone back a little too far there. Again, we're going to see another incident at 130R, as we've seen so many times through this race. As looks like even the car was going before he reached the inside curb there. Thankfully for Paul Glover, doesn't hit the wall there on the outside, but well, if he was going for style points, I have to give it to him, but not the most efficient way to get back on the track, and I don't think his rear tyres will really be thanking him for the extra donuts there. Torben Paulik is still chasing Tim Miro. Behind this battle, we have also got Dan Terry back on the diffuser of Romain Fabini, as we just see them rounding the final corner now. So we come into the first sector. Further down the field, we have got Tom Tweedy. Oh, as Joe Cocking gets a little bit sideways there on the exit of Spoon, that has allowed Tom Tweedy through, and I think Cocking could be vulnerable here to the Lexus of Michael Small, and he is. That is Small through. So that one little twitch of oversteer there costing Joe Cocking a lot of time. As Ferrara is past Tom Mack. Now, how did this happen? These two were close for a while, but it looked like that a gap had opened up, and at the moment, oh, Tom Mack again, a little bit of a off-road excursion and dragging his wheels off the circuit for quite a long time there, and that has allowed Ferrara through. Running so well in P4 in this race, Tom Mack now down in P11, still with that 10-second penalty. And Tom Mack's just going to be thankful that at least the two cars behind him aren't that close, so only likely to lose one position as long as he doesn't fall back any further. As Dan Terry continues to chase Romain Fabini. This has been the one of the stories of the race so far, and it doesn't look like Dan Terry's found a way through yet. I can only imagine this is getting a little bit stressful for Romain. He's had that Aston Martin in his rear view mirror for almost the entire race. We have yellow flags for Sprinskus. What has happened here? Another instant at 130R. Oh, yes. I mean, reasonable save there. Keeps it going, losing a couple of seconds, but, well, I think he just wanted to show us a drift around the corner, and other than a few seconds and considerable amount of rubber, hasn't lost too much. Behind these, Tom Mack has made his way back past Tarala. As Fabini and Dan Terry clear the traffic. Dan Terry as close as he's ever been. They come around 130R. Just missing the apex there, perhaps his view obscured by the McLaren ahead. So close to the back of Romain Fabini. Just over 3 minutes of this race remaining. Still, Dan Terry not able to find a way past the McLaren. As the sun starts to set over this Suzuka circuit. And the field we have, or down the field I should say, Tom Tweedy and Paul Glover. Tweedy tucking into the slipstream of the Audi. Oh, as Paul Glover runs deep into the chicane and has lost out there to Tom Tweedy, who moves up into P19. We have Grant Eckert off the circuit. I think we all know what's happened here. Well, we've seen this sort of incident from so many angles, and let's see what it looks like for the driver, or their passenger. Oh, just a bit too much of the inside curb, and away we go. Oh, as we've got a couple of yellow flags out further down the field. Oh, actually not close together as I thought. So what has happened to Andrew Cooper, currently sitting down in P38? Oh, already looking a little bit twitchy there on the exit of the second Degner. Comes up to the hairpin. Oh, that is an odd one. Gets onto the throttle on the curb, the car kicks round, does well to get his foot out of it and not overspin the car. Dan Terry still can't get past Romain Fabini. He had that one overtake on Fabini before the pit stops. Came out of the pits back behind Romain and has been there for the rest of this race. And with this the final lap, it's hard to see Dan Terry getting by. Up in P3, Matthew Morgan is leading Kay Lumber from Tim Miro and Paulick. Tim Miro, close, very close, backs out of it. Oh, as Lumber's round! Oh, that is unfortunate for the Lamborghini driver, and it's on the outside of Spoon's going to have to wait for an age to find a safe spot to come back on the track, and that is so painful for the Lamborghini driver. But our race winner for tonight will be Niels Kuhl. Started this race in second, got past Dieter Santon before the pit stops, brings it home 5 seconds ahead of Dieter Santon. And coming home in third will be Matthew Morgan in the Mercedes. Mercedes seeming to be strong at this track. And they're followed home by Tim Miro, Torben Paulek. They're followed by Romain Fabini, Dan Terry, and our bronze split winner is Christopher Elberg by a considerable margin. That is a vast number of gold split cars between Elberg and the next bronze split driver. And in P9 we have Tarala, Lumber, who's already in the pits, Behan, Cox, Mack, and then bringing us home in P16 will be Sablinskas, and Kalberg will round out the podium of the blonde split. So those are our finishers, and that is our race for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we just wait for the final few drivers to finish the race on this lead lap. And finally will be Dieter Snickers bringing it home in the BMW in P30. Well, thank you very much for watching, everyone. And seems that things are a bit closer at the top of our gold split than may have otherwise have thought, with Niels Kuhl managing to get the pass made on Dieter Santon after the phenomenal qualifying time from Santon, just not able to keep it together in the race. And then the fight for P3, as eventful as it was won by Matthew Morgan in the Mercedes. And then, well, for the bronze split, Elberg really unchallenged to bring it home for the win of the bronze split. And Splinskus and Kalberg reasonably close at the end there, but in the end was not too eventful a race for the bronze split podium. But there were battles up and down the field, and looks like we could have a very interesting season ahead of us. So do please tune in again next week for our bronze and gold split race, where we will be heading to Zandvoort in the Netherlands. But before that, tomorrow night we do have our pro split race, be hosted by Gareth Ronther, where we will have the ACCSS's very fastest drivers taking us around Suzuka. Will they be able to beat the pole time of Dieter Santon of I believe was a 2:02 in the end? So please tune in for that, and thank you very much for watching. I've been your host, Roy Weller. Hope to catch you again next time. Good night.